Godzilla King of the Monsters and Godzilla vs. Kong are what was originally said to have been the last movies in the new MonsterVerse. Recent news, though, has pointed towards this not being the end anymore, but actually the beginning to something even greater. Toho has made their plans in setting up an American headquarters public, and is already starting to work more with American-based companies on spreading the good world of Godzilla. The director of Godzilla King of the Monsters, Michael Daltrey, recently spoke with the press about what would be his ideal original Godzilla movie if the series was to continue after Godzilla faces the giant ape. He stated how he would love to see a Godzilla Origins story, bypassing the typical giant city settings of most Godzilla movies for prehistoric landscapes, choosing to focus on where Godzilla and the other monsters came from, as well as possibly showing humanity's first meeting with the Titans, and how early civilizations went on to think of these giant creatures as gods. All of this got me thinking, where did Godzilla and the other monsters or Titans actually come from? Before we get into my MonsterVerse theory, let's go over the history of Godzilla's origins throughout the decades. The King of the Monsters' origins are not always specifically detailed, but his existence as we know him usually has something to do with radiation. Godzilla in the Showa and Millennium eras has been said to have been an ancient creature that went into hiding after the extinction of the dinosaurs, only to be awoken and mutated by mankind's abuse of nuclear weapons in the 40s and 50s. The Heisei series has the G-Man being a dinosaur called the Godzillasaurus that somehow survived on a lone island until it was mutated into Godzilla due to the actions of humanity once again. Godzilla GMK had Godzilla being an ancient creature of unknown origins that was somehow possessed by the lost souls of those who died during World War II, set forth to punish Japan for its role in the worst war in human history. But what about MonsterVerse Godzilla? All we know about this Godzilla is that it is a type of giant prehistoric amphibious reptile from the Permian period, a time when Earth was much more rich in surface radiation, in which Godzilla and the other Titans appear to feed on. Outside of this though, we don't know where the creatures come from. We have a time and a place, but nothing about the actual reason they exist. And this is where my theory comes into play. The Permian era was over 250 million years ago, well before the time of the dinosaurs. During this time, the Permian witnessed a massive diversification of the early amniotes, that being the first wave of creatures that would go on to become reptiles, mammals, and birds amongst other things. This first big influx of life as we know it happened during this time. Godzilla and the other Titans are clearly not amniotes though, so how would they come to be? To me, it is clear that Godzilla and the Titans are not of this world, or not entirely at least. Yes, I am saying that the origins of all the Titans, Godzilla included, comes from somewhere in the void of space. With this, I have come up with two theoretical explanations for this theoretical origins video. God, I love YouTube. Both of these ideas have been thrown around with humanity's and other animals' origins, so let's get to it. The first sign of Godzilla is from the Permian, but that doesn't mean that his origins don't reach even further back, to a time when Earth was hitting puberty hard. Before life as we know it on Earth occurred, the planet was constantly being bombarded by asteroids and all sorts of space rocks. What if one or many of these just so happen to carry DNA from other planets, potentially a planet full of giant creatures? This sounds like a crazy idea, but it has happened in the fictional past with Space Godzilla for example, as well as in our real world where there are those who think that the Octopus, being so strange and out of place in Earth's standard biology, may have come from an asteroid that struck the Earth, mixing the DNA of some otherworldly being with Earth's ecosystems and bang, you have your octopus. While this is a crazy idea, you just never know. In a fictional world with Godzilla, this theory becomes even more of a possibility. Imagine a giant asteroid, a chunk from a planet that may have exploded, sending fragments to all the reaches of space. Somehow, one of them found its way to Earth, and within it was the DNA of these alien titans. After hundreds of millions or maybe even billions of years, this DNA may have intertwined with the natural forces of the Earth, and slowly mutated into Godzilla and the other titans as we know them. This first theory fits the more realistic take of the MonsterVerse and could easily be thrown into the new MonsterVerse universe without being too outlandish. Theory number 2, however, is a bit nuts. Human religions all over the planet, separated by thousands of miles, believe in gods from above. The evidence of this ideology has been carved, painted, and told for as long as we can remember. Godzilla, King of the Monsters, has already confirmed that this story will incorporate these beliefs, as an ancient human civilization has been shown to have worshipped or feared Godzilla and the other titans, treating them as they were indeed gods. So there are some pretty mind-blowing theories out there that say otherworldly beings or aliens had something to do with the arrival of modern-day humans. We won't get into all that, but I will say that in the MonsterVerse, the arrival of these seemingly well out of place on Earth titans may have come from the efforts of an advanced spacefaring civilization. And in the deep and crazy expanded Godzilla lore, this approach would fit in just fine. Aliens have brought countless monsters to Earth to face Godzilla and humanity throughout Toho's movies, and although the MonsterVerse is much more grounded to reality, this approach could be interesting if done well. It would explain the apparent appear-out-of-nowhere lore that has been set in place for Godzilla, as these aliens could have dropped them all off on Earth back before it had any life on it, kinda like dropping your pets off at the vet or kennel for a little time. These aliens could have also mixed DNA from their world or others and played an experiment on Earth, using the DNA that creates titans and then mixing them with Earth's biology and ecosystems. This would explain why the titans somewhat resemble actual living creatures on our planet, but yet still being so obviously out of place. Could the titans be these aliens' super weapons? In the world of theories, maybe.
Come with me, and you'll be in a world of pure imagination. Take a look, and you'll see into your imagination. We'll begin with a spin, traveling in the world of my creation. What we'll see will defy explanation.
If you liked today's video, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe, become a resident of DangerVille. Godzilla theories are fun. The creators left open enough for us fans to fill in the gaps with what we think may have happened. I know theories aren't for everyone, but I hope you liked today's video. What is your theory on how Godzilla and the Titans arrived on Earth? And do you want to see an origin story if the MonsterVerse does continue after Godzilla vs. Kong? Have at it, residents. As always, this has been Jacob, and I will see you next time.